Nico!
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Nico's World video. It's your boy Nico's World.
Nico!
And season 3 is around the corner, guys. It's like a couple of days away, a few days away. And I wholeheartedly believe that they need to do really well with this season, because I do believe people are getting pretty burnt out. People are getting tired of Tekken 8 just continually missing and just, shooting their shot and missing. Season 1 was not good. Season 2 was pretty bad. Season 3 needs to be good. We need a W, right? So, but that's besides the point. You saw the title of the video. This is gonna be the changes that I would like to see for Lars in Season 3. Obviously, I'm not expecting all of these to come to fruition, but we're just gonna talk about it. I'm just gonna give my take on what I would like to see. Some of them I'm pretty mixed. Some of them I'm like, I'm not sure. I'm gonna refer to you guys and ask your opinion on some of these, but I'm just gonna go ahead and go over some of the things that I would like to see for Lars in Season 3. There will be some changes, overall changes. There will be some buffs.
You need to leave!
There will be some nerfs. Yes, I said the word buff. You heard what I said. And it's just because it's what I honestly think, right? Obviously, I think Tekken 8 is in need of some substantial nerf. This is what I genuinely believe. And if you disagree, that's fine. It is what it is. I'm not tripping about it, but there are some things that I would change, nerf, etc., etc. But I'm just gonna get right into it. So the first thing I would like to change, man, I hate this. This is gonna be I don't know if you would call this a nerf or a change, but this gotta go. I am tired of this orbital. I am tired of this. Lars's orbital should not do this. That is just complete and utter cheese. There is no way to slice it. There's no way to explain it. It is just pure bullshit. It is the shit that I don't like about Tekken. It's the nonsense that I don't like. It makes my character cheesy. In that regard, I don't like that. I want that gone. That is just entirely bullshit. It is stupid. It's dishonest Tekken. It's the Tekken I don't like. Get rid of it. What I would like for the orbital to change is I would like for it to go back to the old way of Tekken 7. You could advance orbital, you could neutral orbital, or you could retreat orbital. And by retreat orbital, you could bounce back and orbital at the same time. I like that, and Lars could do that in Tekken 7, but for some reason they took it away. You cannot do that in Tekken 8. You cannot retreat orbital. I would like to get the retreating orbital back, because it was a smarter and tactical way to use Lars's orbital instead of this cheesy nonsense bullshit. I don't like this. I don't like the evasion on his orbital. I think it's bullshit. I think it's cheese. It needs to go. I just don't like it. It's dishonest Tekken. It's the Tekken I don't like. It appeases to the Tekken that I don't like. I don't like it. Get rid of it. The next thing I'm going to talk about, this is going to be a nerf. And it is going to be Lars's stomp in heat. I'm not really expecting this to stay in Season 3, but the thing is that honestly, if I'm gonna be honest with you, I would trade this for another heat move entirely, to be honest. I think this is too spammable. That's too spammable. That's too easy to do. That's just too much. What I would do is I would take this away and I would give it to his down 2. I would make this do something in heat, maybe make it +3, +4 on block maybe, but I would make it to where trade this for this. So it would have like the same effect as this, but it would just be his down 2 instead. That way you can't just spam this over and over and over again. That way, you can't get away with just keep, continuously doing that over and over again. Then another change I would like to see, and I talked about this before, no heat regen from stance transitioning, because Lars is a character that wants to be in stance a lot. He's a stance heavy character. So that is just kind of silly. I would just get rid of that mechanic entirely. Just no heat regen across the board for everybody. But with Lars is constantly in stance in your face, so that kind of benefits him quite a bit. So I would just get rid of that for him. Okay, and the next thing I'm going to say, this is going to be a buff. I talked about this before, or I mentioned this. Actually, no, I didn't talk about this in a video, but I mentioned this on social media, on my Twitter. And some people agree with me. I think, actually, I think Tendo agree with me as well. But what I said is for a buff. So there's not really a reason for Lars to do his 4-4-4-3. And it's -3 on block. It does more damage than his 4-4-4-2. So you just really do this for damage, and you do this for frames. But I would give this a little bit more utility, and I would make this wall stun. So like if your opponent is back is against a wall, you keep it -3. That's fine, but I would make this wall stun. That way, this gives a little bit more utility at the wall, and it gives you a little bit more reason to use it, because there's really not too much of a reason to use this just to use it. And before you say anything about the buff that I just asked for, this was not new. He actually had this in Tekken 7. This was there for before. So I would make this wall stun at the wall to give a little bit more frames. But I mean, do I think it's gonna happen? No, but it's just something that I mentioned before previous. And yeah, that's just another thing that I wanted to mention. But like I said, I doubt it's going to be there, but it's just something that came to mind. Another thing I would like to see in Season 3 is, I talked about this before, give me the option to cancel this stance transition. Okay, I don't like a move that forces me to go into stance. I like to do things to my own fruition. I want to sometimes just do something just to do something. So I would really like to be able to cancel this. In my previous video talking about the buff guy, he did mention, you know, oh, make this -3 so we could rage art Lars's options. And my thing is that if you're gonna force me to go into stance, I gotta have the frames to defend myself to beat your rage art. But if you want to take away the frames, you got to give me the option to cancel the stance transition to protect myself. There's moves that characters have in this game that they do that puts them into stance, but they can choose to cancel the stance if they want to protect themselves, and Lars should have that option with this move as well. So give Lars the option to finally cancel this stance transition. We should not be forced to go into stance. We should have the option and the liberty and the freedom to do as we please, or as we choose to go about our next move. But we shouldn't have to force ourselves and the opponent into a 50-50, because it's a 50-50 for you and it's a 50-50 for me. I'm not a fan of this. I would just get like the option to cancel it, to give me more options, more movement, more thinking, rather than guess between a mid or a low. I'm not a fan of that. So that would be a change for me. I'm not really sure if that would be, I don't know if you would call that a nerf or just a change. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure what category that falls in. But for some, it might be a nerf. For others, it might be a buff. For me, it's just a change. I just think that this should just be cancelable. I don't think it should be, I think it should be cancelable. And I think it should be, when you cancel it, I think it should be neutral on block. Cancel it and make it neutral. The next thing I'm going to talk about, and this is going to be a nerf, Lars's heat smash. There's going to be a couple of things with this. So Lars's heat smash is just way too plus. I do agree with Buff Guy when he did mention about this heat smash. He said that this was really plus, which it is. It's plus 12, which is a lot of frames, and you really can't do shit. This is all a frame trap. You can't do anything about that. So it's just plus frame into plus frames. You can't step, you can't dick jab, and you can't while standing 4. It'll be all of that. I personally disagree with that. It should be a lot less plus, honestly. And to be honest with you, I think we should stay away from these heavy plus frame attacks, right? I don't agree with moves that give you plus 11, 12. That's too much. I don't agree. I don't think anybody should have access to those frames from anything off of any move from their normals that or something that they can access whenever they want. I think I think from +5 to 7 is good. I think that's a good range for heat smashes, but +12, +15, +13, 12, 11, 10, that's too much. That's just too much. That's too heavy of plus frames. It's disgusting amount of frames. Lower that down a little bit to maybe like a good 5, 6, or 7. I think that's perfectly fine right there, but +12 is too much. I would nerf that. Bring those frames down a little bit. Another thing I would do for and I mentioned this in my other video, if you whiff the heat smash, you should be punished. You should not be able to get away from your opponent. You should not be able to, you know, fly away and keep moving forward and to escape because you fucked that up. You should be punished. There should be no transition on whiff. If it whiffs, you should just stop and you should be able to get punished. Because that's something that you fucked up. That's something that you messed up as the player, and you should be punished accordingly. So yes, that would be a overall nerf for Lars, because he is an offender of both of those. His heat smash is way too plus, and he keeps continuing when he whiffs it. He shouldn't be able to do either, or he shouldn't be able to have so much heavy plus frames, and he shouldn't be able to run away if he fucks that up. Also, tracking for heat smashes across the board, nerf that. Heat smashes track. I don't think heat smashes should track well at all across the board. I don't think anybody's heat smashes track. Okay, so this is another thing. This is going to be a nerf as well. And so I had to think about this, and to be honest, it came to the point where I had to think about the overall health of the game. And I had spoken to people among my Discord, and I have spoken to my sparring partner, and they I was kind of like, I don't really want this to get nerfed, but it is what it is in the sake of fairness. So the move that I'm going to mention is Lars' Silent Entry 2. This was always -12 on block, so it's pretty safe, but it's a counter hit launcher, and the stance is highly delayable, right? 17 frames, it crushes highs, yada yada yada, right? People were telling me that this should be about -13, and I am okay with that. I was a little like, that kind of sucks, but again, I'm here for the sake of fairness. If and I saw the opposing argument saying like, oh, but you know, it counter hit launches and it does this and it does that. It's somewhat evasive, and I was like, you know what, those are fair points. So so in the sake of fairness and the sake of healthiness for Tekken 8, this should be -13. I personally would not like it to be, but again, it's the sake of fairness, right? So it is what it is. -13. I'll live with it. It's fine. Okay, so another thing I wanted to mention, his lows are very safe when he's in stance, and I kind of thought that was the point because his lows outside of stance are pretty unsafe, right? So to rectify this and make this a little bit better, what I thought the rationale was, since Lars's lows outside of stances are so unsafe, let's make his lows inside stances safer, because Lars is a stance heavy character, right? So the thing is that if I saw people say like, oh, Len 1 should be -13 on block, which is my thing is that I'm willing to compromise. So if people were to argue that this low should be -13 on block, this should do something on counter hit. I believe that this should do something on counter hit if you're going to make this -13. If you're going to keep it -12, then I think it's perfectly fine the way it is. But if you're going to make it -13, you got to give me something in return. Because when Lars does 2-1 on hit and he hits you with that, the mid loses to power crushes, right? Power crushes beats that. Heat burst beats it. Whatever, right? Which is fine, but my thing is that some characters have moves where their Power Crush grants them like a follow-up, it grants them a mix-up and things like that. So my thing is that if you do a Power Crush option, I feel like you should be punished if I do the low, if the Power Crush is, you know, the other option against the mid, right? Like it should do something on counter hit. I was thinking that it should do something similar to Dragunov's down 2, when he smacks he's like kind of smacks your leg, and on counter hit it gives him frames, or Jin's down back 4. On counter hit it gives him frames. I think it should do the same thing where they're kind of holding their shin or something like that. But that's just me. That's how I feel. Because I feel like if you can Power Crush the mid, and if I make the right read and you do you try to Power Crush my mid, but I do the low, I should feel like I should get some frames if you're gonna make the low minus 13. If you're gonna keep in mind, if you're gonna keep this Lars's Len 1 minus 13, I think it should do something on counter hit. But if you're gonna keep it minus 12, I think what it does right now, it's fine. It's only a +4 on hit and forces crouch, and it's not super advantageous. It's not super crazy. I think it's perfectly fine the way it is. If you're gonna make it more minus, give him something on counter hit in return. The next thing I'm gonna talk about is Lars's down forward 3-3. Now I feel very mixed. I have a lot of mixed feelings about Lars's down forward 3-3 because there's things I like about it and there's things I don't. So I like that this guarantees this now. It's nice, but I don't like the trade-off to have it. And what I mean is, I don't like that this is so horribly minus on block at minus 15. I really don't like that. I would prefer to have it, if anything, I would personally prefer it the old way it was in season 1, where it just didn't guarantee you anything and it just gave you frames rather than, and in return you were granted safety, because this mid was safe. I would prefer that the old way in season 1, because I don't know, I just have a lot of mixed feelings with this. Would that be a nerf? I guess, kind of. You could I guess you could kind of call it a nerf, a change. I don't really know how to describe it, but if you're gonna do this, I feel like minus 15 is just a little too much, man. It makes me not really want to use that move too much. It's just very unsafe. I would just revert it back to the old way, or just, I don't know. There's some things, I just feel very mixed about this move. There's some things I like about it. There's some things I like the natural, that's natural, that's nice, but I don't know. I would personally prefer season 1's old way of just the regular down forward 3-3 and being somewhat safe. There was some characters that can punish it, but I would prefer it in season 1 personally. But there is absolutely ways to argue it from either side. I don't think anybody is particularly wrong in this situation when you want to talk about that move, but it's kind of like a complicated spot for me, that move. I don't know if I like it 100%, or it's weird. It's like at a weird spot for me personally. The next thing I want to talk about is his back 4. This is another thing. Man, that I'm just like kind of like, I like it, but I'm like really mixed, because I kind of miss the counter hit. I kind of miss fishing for the counter hit and getting this, and I really missed the damage that it did, because it did like 50 damage on counter hit, which was nice. I kind of missed that, but you know, I mean, this is a buff essentially, and what I'm asking for is, I guess that would be a nerf. It's like a complicated thing, you know. It's like, it's kind of a nerf, but kind of not at the same time, because you're getting damage back. But it's again, I feel like with this you could argue either side. But if, you know, I'm not expecting it to get changed for real or anything like that. If it stays the same, it stays the same. It's no big deal. I'm fine with it. But I would personally prefer to have the counter hit back 4 back, because it was just satisfying to land. The next thing I want to talk about, and this is going to be a nerf, this is going to be Lars's down 1-3 at the wall. This does way too much damage. That does a lot of damage. That does like 20 plus damage from just this move. That does a lot of damage. That shit hurts. So what I would do is I would either I feel like there's two ways you could go about this. You can either just straight up nerf the damage, tone down the damage, or you can make this only accessible in heat. I saw somebody mention this in one of my comments, and I thought that was a pretty smart idea, that you could only have access to that in heat. I thought that was a clever idea. I think that's a smart idea. It would burn some of your heat. I think that's fair, because if you're gonna have access to all that damage, you would have to use a resource in order to do so. So I think that would make sense to compensate for the damage, but overall, I think that definitely needs some type of nerf, some type of damage nerf, or it needs to take up a resource or something, because it just hurts too much. And another thing that I would like to see is Lars's up forward 3 1+2. This would be a buff, and why I'm saying this is because I feel like this should floor break. He's literally jumping in the air and he literally dunks you like a freaking basketball, head first into the ground. I feel like this should floor break. It just makes sense to me. I'm not really sure why it doesn't. It just makes sense to me. Another thing, and I saw people mention this before. So it's basically his down 2-3, and people were saying like, oh, since everybody has guard break, Lars should have a guard break, and it should be this move, because you have to charge it or whatever, right? My thing is, man, honestly, how I feel about that is I don't want that in Tekken for my character, to be honest. I hate guard breaks. I want them gone across the board. I do feel like guard breaks will get deleted at some point in Tekken 8's lifespan. I hope so. I can understand why people are saying like, oh, well, if everybody can guard break, then why can't this guard break? Because I have to charge it. I get what you're saying. I hear you. But as someone who hates that mechanic, I don't want to be part of the problem, if that makes sense. I don't want to join in just because others have it, if that makes sense. You know, I fundamentally disagree with guard breaks. I don't think it has a place in Tekken. I don't think it makes sense to get severely punished just for blocking. I've never agreed with that, and I hope they delete that. I think they will. I think there's like a 70% chance that they will. If I had to make a guess, 60-70% chance. But I don't want to be a part of the problem. I don't want to add to the problem. I don't want to add fuel to the fire by making this a guard break. So that's just my take on that. I don't think it's a good idea. I would not want that for my character, personally. Okay, and there you have it, guys. I thought of everything that I really could have thought of. I literally looked at his move list again, just to make sure that I'm like, okay, like this move, that move, this move, that move. I really wanted to really look again at Lars's move list before I put out this video, because there is a lot of things that, you know, needs changes. There's a lot of things that need to get toned down in this game. Of course, I don't expect all of this, everything that I mentioned, to come to fruition, right? I'm not expecting it. And some of the things that people might say is like, oh, I'm crazy to ask for buffs. But like, I'm not. At the end of the day, man, I am a Lars loyalist. You can nerf this guy to the fucking dirt, to the fucking ground, and it don't make no difference to me. I'm gonna figure out how to make him work. I don't have a problem. I started with Lars in Tekken 7, and he was much worse than he is now. I'll survive. I did perfectly fine in Tekken 7. I'll be fine with the tools that he has, with whatever they do to him. You can make his Silent Entry 2 minus a million on block, it won't matter. I'll make it work. No, to the Lars loyalists out there, on any of these nerfs that they throw at him or whatever they do to him, it's not gonna matter to you because you're gonna be a ride or die for this fucking guy no matter what, like me. Yeah, so those are some of the changes that I would like to see for Lars. Some of them were buffs, some of them were nerfs. Let me know what you think, what you guys think in the comments. You know, no, I disagree. Yes, I agree. At the end of the day, it's all opinions. You know, you're free to think whatever you want, just as I'm free to think whatever I want. You could say I'm crazy to ask for buffs. You could say this, you could say that. But at the end of the day, it is what I think. And yeah, that's going to do it for today's video, guys. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next Nico's World video, guys. Take care.